Lutz, and I'm here with my co-host,
Tank.
and we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. How's it going, Tank?
You know, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Well, you know, it's quite the show going on. Watching things change before my eyes. I got to start out by saying this. I really, for anybody out there who's not a believer in some of the work we're doing, right? So today, Sandra RN, who's, kind of a famous on Facebook, kind of, got a pretty serious following all by herself. She represents us in Lawful America in California, and so she went up to Sacramento today to so that she could protest, and reopen the state, so to speak, right? So in the process, they changed the rules midway, and because she wouldn't be quiet, she was taken into custody, right, along with her whole group, and they were being held in the basement of the Capitol building. Now, they actually handcuffed her and everything, right? She didn't violate any laws. Now, because she's been trained, right, she wouldn't sign anything. She wouldn't accept a violation. She wouldn't let them fingerprint her, right? So she leaks information out to her husband, and contacts me, and got a call out somehow to Michelle. And so Michelle and I called, and they we were gonna wait. And then I had about a dozen other people, contacts I had in that area, and reach out and call. And then we had I reached out to the local city councilman, right? But then Michelle, who I love this story, right? She got tired of waiting, so she called back. She's like, they're gonna end their workday. So she called back, and she said, now, you have my client in custody in the basement of the Capitol building, and you are unlawfully holding her, and you are in violation of 18 U.S. Code 241 and 242, and you will be held responsible in your personal and private capacity, and I want her released immediately, right? We actually have the recording, put it out, right? So anybody can see how to do it, I guess. And the cops were like, what do you want? Michelle's like, I want her to call me when she's released. Within 15 minutes, she called back, and they let her go. So I was very proud of Michelle. I was very proud of Sandra for holding her ground. And I'm just sharing the story to everyone out there who thinks that they need to back down every time a cop, does something or is doing something that's really unlawful, right? And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to suppress everything about us, right? They're trying to make it so we don't have freedom of speech anymore. We don't have, freedom of anything is what they're trying to say. The fact, what her crime was is that she thought she was free. She fought back, took him down. So I count that as a big win.
Well,
very happy about that.
Yeah, and that's also happening in Michigan. I'm sharing this. Let me share this with you. I'm already showing it to the audience. So, breaking. Armed protesters have stormed the Michigan Capitol as politicians in bulletproof vests were voting on extending the lockdown orders. So that's kind of standing up. That's what the Second Amendment is all about. That's what the right to assemble, right, and move forward. It's a right to have a militia, and basically to throw off a government that's basically not abiding by the by the Constitution. Amazing.
Absolutely, it's absolutely what it is. So, Dan, give me the. Let me share something here quick.
Sure.
I'll show you this here.
There you go.
Yeah, because we're our team. My team is really amazing. So I shared with them the message right away from Kim, and I told them, I said, look, Kim wants us to make this go viral, because this whole thing right now, it's like, how are we continuing this process at this point, right? With the, what she calls, I think Kim wants it to be hashtag ConJob19. Right?
Stop ConJob 19.
Yeah, right. So here's one of them that this is said, right? You failed to be on the CIA, right? So she put that out. Here's another one. Here's Michelle Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Went out there.
I'm working on mine.
This is Lane Keller. Oh, did he said, yeah, set up your pick.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't. Oh, no. It's not. Wait, maybe I have one here. Let's see. Yeah, but so basically, it's good times. Good times. Our team rises to the occasion with things like this, and I'm always proud of them for doing that. And you don't got to say much to them. You just kind of drop a line. About an hour later, they'll have something working. So
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and be sure to use that hashtag, as well, so we can get that trending. It'll be interesting.
Hashtag ConJob19. Stop ConJob19.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah. It's good. ConJob 19.
Well, and then the other thing is because I broke down this whole thing that happened with the National Assembly, right? Which and we're cool. Like, National Assembly's been very helpful with us, right? It's just you tend to trust people that have documents in place and have done things and been successful, right?
Right.
But I had an in-depth conversation with one of their very important key figures right after to kind of say, look, what's going on? You guys realize this, right? And I broke it down to them. And now one of their key states is changing their documents because they realize that we're right. Come find out.
I just want to bring up. I just noticed. I wasn't showing the audience when you were showing the memes. So.
Oh.
But we can go back to it. But I just want to
go back to it later. No big deal.
Yeah. So with the National Assembly, what is so? So we were talking about the language, right? That was the indigenous powers language. We're, they're being held by the indigenous powers, right? So,
right.
And what does that mean, especially when it's made into a proper noun? So
yeah.
Who are they? And so what came of this?
Well, basically, I broke it down to an individual in the organization who's very much open-minded and in the know about a lot of things, right? And when I told him what it was, I said, no matter how you cut it, if you consider what could have happened, if the National Assembly, now if they anticipated that the National Assembly would be the organization that expanded out and was able to, reestablish constitutional law, right? Because this is kind of an understanding in a lot of ways that this is coming one way or another, right? A lot of people see that. Like, the Republic's going to come back, and, you'll hear this rhetoric a lot with white hat groups, patriot groups, right? So now the National Assembly, General Dunford took their paperwork over to France, right? And he established the Republic, but it's really the French Republic that we always talk about, that has a treasury in Reno, right? Runs the OSS out of the CIA, or the shadow side of the CIA out of Rockefeller Center in New York. So they obviously respect.
Oh, lost your audio. Lost your audio.
Oh, sorry. Hello?
Hello.
Sorry about that. So, obviously, Dunford and the Rothschilds saw something in their paperwork they could use, right?
which really supports what I was saying. But when I pointed out, I'm like, if you look at the way the paper was worded, if they allowed the Patriot movement to fan out and grow through the National Assembly, and one of the things they're talking about is taking over the government, right?
Yeah.
Or the corporate de facto government falling, which, you know, I understand that, but we don't use that language because it's like what happens, right? All I care about is that people have a voice, right? And it's equal to that of those that are supposed to represent. So, but if you were to let it happen that way, and if I'm right, and the indigenous powers is a proper noun that describes a specific group, right? Then you basically would have a brand new government that would all be under that specific group.
Right.
Because we've given up our unalienable rights and they hold them.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, that's basically, you know, that was a real possibility if the National Assembly continued to expand.
Where did that language come from?
So the language comes from this old Amish agreement, which that's totally opposite of everything they talk about. What they're about, what they always say they're about, is they're about, you know, restoring the original documentation of our forefathers, all this stuff, right? So you can't, you know, so if it goes back to the Amish, how the Amish fit in there, right? But the Amish are a very secretive group when you think about it, right? They live on U.S. soil. There's the real Amish lifestyle is very different from what, you know, it's not just romantic country living, right? It's a brutal, you know, society, very, very strict rules. And also they exist within the United States as if they're a sovereign nation unto themselves, but they're really not. So for whatever reason, you know, I believe they track back to the Dutch, German, I'm not sure, but so I don't know. So whatever it is, but either way, how does that establish our country, right? How is that is never mentioned? So the term, now what I found out was they were coming on the New York Assembly call last night to prove their point that it is definitely, they were coming on definitely to show it's indigenous powers, and they were going to give us the what for, right?
Okay.
Which blew up in their face, but you know. So it's all just interesting. It's a fascinating thing.
I said where it came from. I wasn't really referring to like the original text of it. Well, who introduced it into this body?
I don't know. You know, that's the thing is because the original founders, I think 2 of them are passed away, but another one got arrested. So you can see how the documentation might have been changed.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Well, one of the things to note is that documents can be changed. Anything on your computer can be removed and substituted. Anything. Especially if you have Skype installed or WhatsApp installed. These are gateway devices to allow access.
Well, also, you know, if you have, you know, I mean, basically with their whole thing is like keep everything very private. They even told the, and I don't think this was malicious. I think they were just doing what they thought was best, right? But they told the president, they're basically saying like you need to keep these things more private. Well, that's the problem, right? With the way if you file things only with there's
this whole idea of private meaning secret is a problem.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
So change the word, and forgive me for using this word, because I'm stepping on another word bomb. Keep it, instead of private, say personal. Personal, meaning that that you keep it, you know, to our group, right? It's within the realm of our group. That's private.
Well,
it doesn't mean that we're not letting anyone outside the group know about it, but it's how it's for our group. It's the governance of our group, the jurisdiction of our group, and if you have free people that are all participating in a group, and you say this is to our group. This is private to our group. It does not mean secret, right?
Right.
So this is
Well,
I have a bit of an issue with the people that basically try and make this into something secret, right? And it gets into the other types of. I had some conversations with some friends of mine about this a while back, and it's come up even more recently in dealing with the Kringle Society and things like that. But the foundation of when people start talking about these things, and they say, well, let's keep this private. They should say, well, let's keep this secret if that's what they mean.
Well, but so here's the problem. Whatever you call it, I can care less.
Yeah.
This is what I have. See, if only you have a piece of information, well, and nobody else knows about it but you. You control it, you have it, you're the one. Well, guess what? If I want to kill your organization, all I got to do is take you out.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I've never agreed with that. That's why the safest place to be is in a public eye. So everybody wants to keep private, and they want to keep it. I'm just like, I don't agree. So because if you think about it, if I made it public from the beginning, if I made documentation available to everyone, well, then everyone really is included, right? So you're talking about people.
Yeah. So here we go. So here we go again. Now we're talking jurisdiction. Now you say what is public. Now you say public eye, and I just replaced the word public with government. Government eye. So what we're really saying is saying it's in the people's eye, for all to see. So that
right. I don't. Again, you know what?
And the reason why I'm saying this because this is an easier way for people to understand where they're standing, and what they're really saying. Right? Is to try and change it into a perspective that makes it a little bit more comprehensive because our understanding of what words mean, public eye. I mean, everyone just really thinks that means.
I think people understand if something is public, it's known, right? Now, I understand there's there's a covert definition of what it really means. But honestly, if you think about it, if we're constantly pandering to every one of the bullshit terms they use in legalese to try to trick us, then all we're doing is admitting you have power over us, and we'll do whatever you say.
I'm just going back to more like what is the original understanding of it. This is what I grew up knowing as a small kid, as precocious as I was, and talking about the of in the United States of and the lowercase u. I talked about that stuff when I was a young kid, right? So I had this understanding of what public and private was. I knew back then. So everyone else, I found it strange, didn't understand what they were saying, and they would say something about being public, and I kept thinking, don't they? They're talking about the government. They want only the government to know. It's only being the government. So it was my understanding from a young age. What I saw is that everyone else was being taught, so that this is, or not even really taught, but kind of let to like flounder out there with these perceptions that were being, cast out there. So anyway, I know we're getting into the weeds here a little bit, but I think that. When we start, I'm dealing with this issue like almost on a daily basis of how to word something. Right? I was going through terms and conditions on the grain auction site yesterday. Right? So I'm dealing with it. Right? Because there's I have to deal with two sides. Because there's one side of this is for the group, right? And it's apart from, and when this crosses over, in the financial world, they have the China wall. If you ask people what the China wall is, in financial companies, their people all have an understanding of what that means by how you have to act with certain bits of information. But they really don't understand what the jurisdiction battle is that they're actually dealing with. They think it's a legalese issue, right? And it is, but they don't know the other side of it, the reason for it.
Right.
So,
but again, okay. So the whole world has been under the UCC, Universal Commercial Code bullshit, right? Now, we had this whole big discussion about the color of the ink, right? Now, contrary to popular belief, because I'll bet most people think they know, or they're in the know about the ink, right? So most people probably think documents should be written in blue, and you always sign, or black maybe, and you always sign blue, right? Well, in the natural law, actual definition of natural law, like handbook, right? You go through it and you realize, well, black immediately implies you're dead, right? Blue is really speaking to you're part of the corporation. Red implies that you are a living being. Purple actually speaks to you're a living being and you're sovereign, right? So the whole documentation actually should be done in purple, and it should be signed in purple. And I'd never heard that, and I've heard things about blue and all these things. Like, wow, I never heard that before. Right?
Well, I first learned about any colors, right, and stuck with me was, well, you sign in blue, so they know it's the original document, not a copy.
Yeah, I mean that's something that things like that they do,
but that's the only thing I knew. But the part that you're describing though is something I've heard about here and there, but I never really looked into it. Right? It's like, so everything should be written in purple, signed in purple.
Yeah. So, but here's my thing about it. Right? Is like at the end of the day, I don't care. No color of ink is going to dictate whether I'm part of a corporation, whether I'm alive, whether I'm dead. None of it. I am alive. I'm not part of the corporation. And if I sign my name in pink, it doesn't matter. But I'll abide by it. I don't mind. But at the end of the day, I reserve my right to be who I am. It's not going to define who I am. We give these things power by pandering to them, wasting our time over and over again, discussing and arguing about this, and tracing it back to historical records to where someone else decided the same thing we did, but they decided to come up with the color code. It's like we're constantly giving over our power to things instead of just saying we are going to create what it's going to be. What we define it as, it is, right? Yeah, I use this example all the time. I meet new people. I often meet people with very unique names, and I very often ask people, "What does your name mean?" Right? And what I always look for. Now, most people don't even know what their name means. Some people know what it means. But you know what I look for? I look for someone to tell me what it means based on who they are. What my name means is based on my life testimony.
Okay, so tank means what?
Too long a definition to go into right now. But it's the same. I mean, tank's just an extension of my regular name. But I just look at these things like we should be defining the words. These words, what a word is, right? Like even the word WORD, right? Because you'll hear about this like in the Bible. It'll say preach the word, and people think the word is the Bible. But in the Bible it says the word was with God and the word was God. Well, that's not talking about the Bible.
Right.
The Bible wasn't with God and God. Right?
Yeah.
The Bible is a book that compiles the information and the collective testimonies over a period of 4,000 years or so. But the word, what the actual WORD word is, the idea, the concept behind it is the ideal that is put into a form that is recognizable, that is in shape and form. Words in general are thoughts that are manifested into a shape and form, sometimes verbally and then sometimes written, right? And the verbal, when you verbalize it, it's powerful, and even more so when it's written. But when it's verbalized and written, is where you really can appreciate the connection, the power of putting these things together, right? So words should not define us, though. We should be defining the words. And I feel like all these things are easily rectified by a proper footnotes and things like that. Say, in this case, when we say this, we mean this, right? So, I reject any possibility of a lawyer or an attorney tricking me into something. Like, oh, you got us, right? No, you didn't. Like, I see you coming a mile away, so basic and average. You have break. Like, this is what you have to do with your time, is to scoop through a word and try to trick me with a definition. Like, look up. It's like wise asses. You know, means a comedian, but comes from the Bible. you know? Like, yes. It's like, we have got to decide what our life means.
Well,
We decide that by our walk.
well,
You know,
well. Okay, let's extend this a little bit. Let me share this with you. It's a great thing to see. Right. This post, this this tweet is no longer a corrupt run by evil Queen, evil Vatican, the New Republic. And so all the flags in the background for this presser have no gold fringe. And personally, I've never seen this before in the White House. So again, this is the symbolic things that we are dealing with because it has meaning. So saying, well, I don't care. Saying I don't care if it has gold fringe or not. I like the gold fringe. It's pretty. It doesn't make a difference. If we ignore that, right, and basically don't try to understand it, then we may get into a problem. I understand what you want to define everything, right? But that's a big job, defining everything, right? Every single word has to be defined, so you have to make your own dictionary, and then you work from that dictionary. So you can do it, right? And you say, well, gold fringe around a flag means it's decorative. Well, you define it, right? So it's just one of those things that is like, if we're, I'd like to try and make sure that we don't use the word, indigenous powers in the document. Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
And there is, see, like that's like I love words, and I very carefully I choose my words carefully, and I really try to, honor the language we speak, right? But whenever somebody tells me a word that if we all understand a word to mean something, that's what it means. Period. I mean, that's what language is, right? If we speak the same language, then we agree this word means this, right? So there has to be a universal language. Now, I get it. In the world of patriots, and I believe this is true, that gold fringe on a flag does mean, does mean something. But I've watched this happen several times.
Okay, so
there's not.
So let me flip this around now. All right. So the cabal is sending a secret message, right? Because they put gold fringe on, right? And now Trump is basically, taking off the gold fringe, and he's sending a message to them. So in that, let's look at this. Make sure I'm viewing this. Yeah, okay. This is in Pursuit of Truth. I have this queued up. It's from just a little while ago. It's May 2nd. Well, anyways, it's very short. He's only covering a couple of Q posts, but he is not saying things, right? But he's going to put a message on the screen, right? Because he's avoiding the censorship, right? He's sending out a secret message that only us guys in the Q movement know, right? So here, let's just take a look.
Right back to Bill Gates. And of course, all this time, POTUS has been talking about hydroxychloroquine, and everyone's been really trying to clown that, even though that seems to have been around the longest. Now, Q has also suggested that hydroxychloroquine would be the most effective, and it looks like they're kind of hinting here in 4043 that they're looking for a de facto standard. I don't know if the hydroxychloroquine is the de facto standard being referenced here, but it looks like much of this is simply just some sort of flu. Now, I don't...
So, see, he slips these words in right now. One cheap medicine. would kill big pharma as we know it. So
Yeah.
if we jump over to the Q maps from today, number 4041. Let's I think we can blow this up here. So we're seeing this is a pneumonia deaths weekly, right? And these are different years. So the red one is 2020, right? So everything in the beginning is about the same, right? Up until about this point, then it just starts going down dramatically. So why is this going down so dramatically here compared to all the others? Is it because the flu season ended early, or is it because everyone was claiming that it was COVID, right? And so it wasn't pneumonia. So we look at, where is it? There's another one in here. I forgot where it's at. Maybe it's this one. So this is the influenza deaths. I think this is it. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So looking at the influenza deaths, right, compared to COVID-19, right? And if you basically extrapolate the information without getting into it, but I was thinking making a little chart. If you remove the influenza deaths, that normally would occur, right, and you remove them from the picture, what you end up with is a death rate, mortality rate, right, for the United States for the year, comparing what this brings out for the year, of 0.003.
Wow.
Right? Because they're overinflating the numbers. That it's like nobody is dying from this. Really, they're dying from other things, right? Even the few cases where there's COVID in there and they can't really figure out what to do, like in the Italians when they took the 3,600 people that died, and they said only 2 of them died of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Those 2 probably died of something else. They just don't know what it was.
Yeah.
So
I mean, COVID in general. I mean, like the original strand was like, it's like a 3-day virus.
Yeah. Well, I think that we're talking about like this secret messaging and stuff. So we're using secret messaging in pushing this information out to the world. So like the fringe, no fringe, right? We're going to use the word indigenous. So we're indigenous powers. So we're dealing with this, and it's the world that we're living in. But there should be like a dictionary, right? If this is what we're going to be going by, maybe we need a White's Law dictionary instead of Black's Law dictionary. Yeah. We need the one that's for the sun, I don't get into Ra, but the sun god and all that. But the white dictionary instead of the black dictionary.
White dictionary instead of the black dictionary.
Yeah, because there's the Black's Law dictionary, so we need the White's Law dictionary. And everyone goes. Usually we go back to Black's Law dictionary.
Oh, Black's Law. I got you.
I was definitely.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was throwing some very metaphorical around theme going on right now. So there's a lot of this that's all deceiving one side over the other, right, and back and forth. So we're deceiving the cabal because Sir Patrick Mack is slipping in some words, saying, "Hey, one cheap drug that can wipe out all of influenza and COVID and all the other flus. Look what that does to big pharma. I mean, if you could wipe it out with a cheap drug, you wouldn't need to have all the rest of the treatments that people use and everything else because of the flu. I mean, come on. When you come down with the flu,
You wipe out Tamiflu. You wipe out all the over-the-counter flu drugs. You wipe out
I used to like
the
NyQuil.
flu vaccines.
NyQuil was my part of my regimen, you know. You know, so.
Oh, gosh, it's a terrible regimen. It's a terrible.
Oh yeah, I said used to be. You know, when I was like in my early mid 20s, something like that. It was like, you know, for about 5 years in a row, I would take that, you know. But this is these things would just go away. So we're putting in these secret messages, right? Because it's back and forth. There's all this secret stuff going back and forth. So I've got one more to show. All right. So back over to the switch back over. All right. So I was showing this, right, and this was the video of what was going on, and you know, storming the troops in Michigan. I just want to show a little bit of that, but really, let's bring it over to Adolf Whitmer, the governor. They're calling her Adolf for now, right? Now, I'm just looking, but is she a transvestite? Is she a man? You know, I'm not. I don't know, right? But what got me thinking about it was, let me see if I can, how do I pull this one up? I gotta stop sharing here. Let me switch this over to display capture. All right. And let me bring, and then we gotta share this with you. Where'd it go? Oh, here. All right. So here's my Telegram. So we got Susan Rice here, being shown up here as this guy on the right with the mustache, right? We also, you know, have the same thing going on with Sally Yates. We have the same thing going on with the wife of Chuck Schumer, the wife of Bill Gates, right? And, you know, there's this deception going on, right? They're showing us something that is not, you know, it's like hidden, right? Why are they hiding this? Now, I don't know if she is or not, right? But and we start looking at all of the things that where this is happening again. These are their shock troops, right? The cabal shock troops, the people they put in place. Now we know that in the bloodlines and their cult practices, they have a sacrifice of your firstborn son. If you do not want that to happen, you have to give up that child, right, to another one of the bloodline families to raise as the opposite sex. That's the punishment, right? So now they have all of these individuals that have been raised as the opposite sex. Men, because it's like it's the firstborn son is the one that has to be sacrificed, right? Not the women. So you have all of these men that are raised as women, and they're now put into power positions in the world. And Q also says, watch the women, watch the wives. Right? So is there something else going on here? Again, I have no idea. But now when when I look at her style, you know, I think that's, you know, pretty much a transvestite looking style. I mean, transvestites, they have kind of a style. And her style is kind of transvestite like. And women, forgive me if I'm off on something here, but just because she has some more masculine characteristics. broader, seems to have broader shoulders, heftier, upper, body, which is not always the case. But when let's say, anyway, it just strikes me that way. So we have,
It's disturbing. It's very disturbing.
yeah, it's very disturbing. So
Like,
we have it with
when you
Susan
say-
Rice, Sally Yates, Michelle Obama, right? So it's this deception about reversing everything, like back to indigenous powers. We think we're doing this, but they're flipping it around, right? They slipped these words in. However they got into their documentation, somebody slipped them in there. Someone made that as a suggestion. It could have been someone in one of their work groups that basically made that suggestion. Everybody said, "Oh yeah, that sounds good," and then someone came back later and capitalized it. It's a lot of these things seem to be a little bit, difficult to comprehend the depth at which we've had to deal with these things, right? Because it's ongoing, right? Where we have to, figure our way through these things. And so, define everything and come up with it. And it's just the world we're in. We have to deal with it. We have to figure out what the right thing is. And I'm happy to see no gold fringe on the flag. Look how broad this topic is, right? it's so vast amount of information. We're covering 5 different areas in which this same kind of concept has been hoisted on us. It's a complete change of reality. It's a false reality presented. That's the only thing that's really common, right? You trick people into thinking something that it is not. And we've got to weave a new reality.
That's the thing that I see. I'm just like, this whole process is just too much. There shouldn't be so much confusion about things. If we're going to grow, we have to agree on the basics. And the only way to do that is be public and honest.
Yeah. We need to be public. We need to be honest. Meaning, we need to have government be honest. I'm in agreement. And individually between each other as source in drawing reality weavers, we need to create a governance of the people, by the people, and for the people. So that means replacing everyone that's there, then doing the opposite, which seems to be really the case on how widespread this actually is, how deep it actually goes, why there's 160,000 indictments, sealed indictments. How is this going to roll up? One of the pictures that they show in Cuba was about how many people are going to go down in this initial bunch. It's about like 20 people, maybe it's 30 people. It says that graphic, that meme is going to have to be much, much, much bigger to show how many people have been involved. So,
Well, did they arrest somebody? I mean, outside of the outside of the private allegations brought against.
well, yes. You want me to show that?
So,
you want me to show that
is
picture?
anything really happening? So this is my point, though. Now, so the language is secret. Everything has to be written in code. So nobody ever knows anything. Because just as much as we're trying to figure stuff out through code, they use code to send us on wild goose chases all the time.
Right.
So it's like, arrest everybody in public. Do it now. Break their face on the hood of the car. Arrest them and make sure everybody knows it and tell the world. Walk into the media, mainstream media, grab every single treasonous bastard in there who's told lies to constantly perpetuate fear and trauma, to grow out this massive propaganda monstrous machine that affects the collective consciousness of the entire planet, that causes us to create a fraction of the reality that we have the potential to make, right? And take all of them, arrest them publicly, and let everyone know.
Okay.
Let everyone know.
Okay. So here it is. Here's the arrests. There we go. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama.
Like this scourge of humanity, wearing khakis and a button down, you know, in a prison, visiting a prison.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, like, when I look at it, it's pretty obvious they're just visiting.
Yeah.
It's not like you're like, so this is what your life's going to be like, Mr. Obama. We want to make sure you're okay. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why do they even have nice clothes at all? Like, why are they allowed to walk in with their hands in pockets? Like, well, I think this will be okay. Like, I don't care what you think. Why should anyone? They've done nothing but work to kill all of us.
Yep. And then we've got this one. Tom Hanks dead.
Tom Hanks dead, yeah. Michelle.
In the Daily something or other.
Supposed to run. Yeah. I don't know. That was suspect to me. Come on.
May 4th.
The Daily.
The Daily.
Oh. I should check there for that? I mean,
yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's like they'll just keep fueling, you know, whatever's going to keep us occupied. So, but here's the real question. So what really matters? If all this stuff, because, you know, we just heard that Barack Obama was arrested. The next day he was hugging Hillary Clinton in front of a crowd of people in Chicago. Right? You know, we hear this all the time. So my question is, what's really going on?
Well, Project Veritas here can show us.
Oh, Veritas, they're good, yeah.
To me, all you're doing is you're padding statistics.
Padding the statistics.
You know, you're putting people on that have COVID-19. If they didn't have it, you're making the death rate for New York City a lot higher than it should be.
To be honest with you, all of the death certificates they're writing COVID on all of the death certificates, whether they had a positive test, whether they didn't. So I think, you know, again, this is my personal opinion. I think, like the mayor of our city, they're looking for federal funding, and the more they put COVID on the death certificate, the more they can ask for federal funds. So I think it's political.
Well, so a new Project Veritas. They're hard hitting. That's from April 30th. Breaking funeral directors in COVID-19 epicenter doubt legitimacy of deaths attributed to pandemic.
I can tell you for an absolute fact that I've spoken directly to funeral directors that have told me that every single thing that comes in, and because there's not many funeral homes that are actually working, so the ones that are, they said every single thing that comes in is COVID, and it's very obvious that's not the case.
Right.
There's many deaths. It's like, obviously, this person was hit by a car, right? It's so things like that are happening. Now, I mean, these are all things that I can verify firsthand, you know. So it's like that's where when it's such a bad false flag psyops that I can just walk down the street. Literally, I can walk down the street and say, "This is a lie." Look, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
No.
Okay, we covered that one. Covered this one. Got a lot. This is about the voter fraud. You know, well, I'm not gonna get into that one a little bit too much. It's like Bill Gates is working on establishing, you know, the replacement meat product, right? So, vegetarians out there, do not eat these fake burgers. Stick with the vegetables. Meat eaters out there, do not eat these pretend meat burgers.
What are they supposed to be? What are they made of?
It doesn't
You
matter.
made it
I
out.
know the ones that put out by Burger King, the meatless burger, it's so high in estrogen, right, that it'll convert you on the spot.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Right, it'll convert you on the spot.
Wow.
Your whole apparatus will drop off your body.
Your whole apparatus. Well, that's the goal, right? You know, to have meat that doesn't fan the toxic masculinity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because that's what happens. Like when you marry a dude, it's like, you know, dressed up like a chick. Like, yeah, you no longer have a sex drive, so you don't want anyone else to, right?
Right. Yeah, you don't want anyone else
You know,
to either.
the biggest fear is actual men, right? Because and you can see there is definitely they've been very successful in banning men down because so many the way men would react when threatened this way would be to fight, would be to stir things up, but they've taken that wind out of us, and not out of me, but I'm saying like out of a lot of men, right?
Yep.
Like so in the collective, it's hard to even find guys. And that's why when soldiers go in, they inject them with all types of stuff.
But I didn't follow either. What do you mean? When soldiers
Like
go in where?
when you go to the army, like you go into active duty and you're a soldier,
Okay.
because they suppress the testosterone so much, they have to give them all types of they call it vaccines and various other products and all your experiments are done on your soldiers. I mean, I talked to dozens of guys who've been on experimental drugs, in the military.
Wow.
And it's like that's normal. That's normal. In fact, I talked to one guy who was real knowledgeable. He refused to take this one vaccine that was mandated for Iraq, and he was in Iraq for like 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he refused to take it, and he said he's the only one of his friends that's like still alive, right, after many years. I'm like, wow, that's a terrifying truth. Good choice, I guess.
Yeah.
But most soldiers don't think they have a choice.
That's true. That is definitely true.
But I had a revelation today, and the universe gave me this beautiful witness. So when Sandra, the RN from California, she was protesting. At first, they actually put handcuffs on her, right? Now she goes into this room, and all these other people are there with her. They all got a ticket. Every one of them was forced to accept the summons, get fingerprinted, all that stuff, right? She refused.
Mm-hmm.
And then they took the handcuffs off, right? And she was still there. There's police there. Now, but technically, she was free.
Right.
And when we called in, all we did was say, like, you better let her out. So they did. They even tried to trick her, right? Because they had a note from Michelle, and she saw the name Michelle. And then when she was leaving, they go, "Oh wait, you want your note?" And she looked back, and they wrapped the note around her ticket. And they were trying to get her. Like, these guys are just. This is all you guys have to do in Sacramento? There's not enough freaking crime. Go hunt down pedophiles. Leave the mothers protesting alone. Come on.
Yep. I'm very glad that she got out of that, and that was amazing that Michelle was able to call in that way. So let me go back to this. I want to make sure we cover this one. This is one of the last pieces. Yeah, this is such a wide stretch issue, right? But we're talking about how they have to give up their firstborn, right? Or they send their child to someone else to live with them embraced. So here's Anderson Cooper, right, who is rumored, that he's swings at least both ways, and not on both sides of the track.
At least both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. But he is now announcing that he has a son. So is it his, or was this because it was given up by another bloodline family that didn't want to have put their child into sacrifice?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Who knows? Who knows, right? But we know he's Vanderbilt. That's part of this ruling elite class, right? And all of this, these earlier pictures we saw and it's brought up in QAnon quite a lot of the Vanderbilt, especially with Anderson Cooper himself, pictured in with this symbolic Satan worship, right? In his bedroom, right, with his mother and his brother.
Weird.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know
Yeah,
either. But I just thought it was, it just kind of this all landed today, right? Susan Rice being a guy. I looked at the Michigan governor, looks like a guy. So this, and then we know what's going on. With we've covered these other things from Michelle or Michael Obama. They all know each other from when they were young, right? Built the picture with Michael Obama, Barack Obama and Bill Gates when they were 19, something like that. They all know each other, right? They're all in the same clique. They're in the cabal, and they're all doing their jobs right now, and we're wrestling it away from them, and they're not done, right? They're trying to continue their plan. So,
it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a legacy of average.
Yeah.
It's like,
so this particular graphic though is kind of interesting. Because they're talking about some of the UFOs coming up. This is this right here supposedly is a landing pad for these triangular craft.
really?
Forget the other name. It's in Carefree, Arizona, in Shadow
The
Mountain.
TR3B.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it. A really odd-looking structure. I mean, you would not make a helipad like that. That actually opens up, and the TR3Bs go down in there. That's those triangle craft. Ultrasonic triangle craft.
Yeah, it's like, why would you put it and nestle it in the hills right here, right?
Wow.
Yeah, interesting. They were talking.
Yeah, I saw a crop circle that was like basically out in Switzerland as the source for the for the COVID virus. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, this one was going on a bunch of about a bunch of the underground sites. They were kind of going over some of them. They were talking about stuff also in Granite Mountain, that's Utah. So it just anyway, there's a lot going on, and it's hard to know like what are we going to cover next?
Yeah.
Right. But in regards to we.
You know what? I got.
Yes.
I'd like to get away from them. I'd like to get away from covering them. I'd like to stop talking about the perverse ways that they've corrupted everything, that they're awful. And I want to talk about the exceptional, amazing reality that exists within people. And I want us to actually get to a point where we're tapping into and helping people discover their real potential.
That's
hearing amazing stories like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's impossible. We can't stop. We're addicted. It's like a rubbernecking on the road, right? While we're driving by.
I want to get away from this Simon Cowell.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we're traveling really fast away, right? We're actually, in one of these TR3s, blasted, past everyone, and they're being left behind, right? They don't know what to do. That's the other thing. They are they only know what they were brought up to be, rulers of the planet, right? And all of a sudden they have no power.
They showed that.
Hello.
Yeah.
I lost you right there for a second.
Yeah. So the also the what is it the flags outside the United Nations were down.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, you did mention that earlier.
What does
That's
that
kind of interesting. What does that mean? What's the symbol?
Because
what does that mean? If it's the symbology of that?
Yeah.
That means there's no more United Nations. There's no flags. Does that mean that Trump was right? We're fighting the cabal, or we're hiding. Or sorry, we're fighting the hidden enemy in 185 countries. So all the flags of the United Nations come down. Is there a relationship? I don't know.
I don't think there's a charter. I don't think the United Nations exists at all anymore. It's just the corrupt version of it now. So the thing about it was a big deal when you took the British flag out of
Yes.
the Euro headquarters, right?
Yeah.
It was like a big ceremony, right? So imagine, how are all the flags down in New York for the United Nations? And could it be because they don't own the property anymore?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to move the. Yeah, that could because they don't. I know that for a fact. So I don't know. Maybe they're kicked out of New York. That'd be great. Maybe they're doing these symbolic things. To your point, right? To actually, inspire the people like you and me who are watching this stuff, and they want us all to know. I don't know, but it's time. It's definitely time.
Yeah, I'm doing a quick search, and I don't find anything.
Well, I'll bring it up for you tomorrow, but
Okay.
I gotta jump off here tonight. My son's making too much noise, so I'm gonna go
All right.
hang out with him.
No problem. Well, thanks. Anyway, we're got
All
an
right.
hour in anyway. All right, the tank will sit. We'll
Yeah.
catch you tomorrow. I just want to also just let you know we're gonna go ahead and do an interview, and it's gonna go up on our BitChute channel, and it will be covering David Rotten STEELE and the ITNJ.
Ah, it's a good one.
Right, and so we're gonna start, pushing over these kind of more touchy interviews over to our BitChute channel. So, and that we'll probably do this interview next week, and we'll post it just after that. Anyway, well, I'll keep you updated on that.
No, I think it's very smart. Put all the real sensitive stuff over there. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
I
everybody, have a great night, and thanks so much. Appreciate you as always.
All right. Good night, Tank. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Please subscribe here anyway. I'll still be putting things here for a while. Who knows? Maybe we take it back over. Well, we know these type of more touchy type of interviews may be a bit problematic to have here, but they definitely would probably at this point, I think, knock down the channel. And then we'd be over there anyway. So it's probably a good idea we start moving most of the more sensitive things over there. Until then, we will still keep supporting this channel. Give some thumbs up. We do have a backup channel here as well that we did build up, and got, I think 400 or 500 subscribers on the other channel, just as a backup. But I think BitChute is going to be the better place. There's a few other out there. I'm going to follow follow the success of Sir Patrick Matt and In Pursuit of Truth over there. So I think that's a good way to go. All right, until next time.